Hello everyone, welcome back to Bobbin's Minecraft Let's Play featuring the Infinity Evolve Skyblock mod pack. You're watching episode 34. We're not going to do any achievements today, and I'm not going to talk too much about the specifics of crafting the one that I'm working on, which of course is the creative energy cell. Let's take a tour of the base and see all the things that I've sort of done between episodes, because it's quite a bit of stuff and there were some pretty good reasons for doing some of them. And then I'm going to talk about some stuff that I need to do to really optimize performance a little bit. I'm getting way too much lag. Hopefully it won't give me a problem during the recording this episode, but we'll see. I've had some problems in recent episodes, as you've seen. Hopefully it will get resolved a little better. Alright, before we do anything else, this plate right here is a teleport plate from thermal expansion, and I have set it up to go to the end. Now it doesn't go to the same place the cake does, it goes to a new location that I have set up about 1,000 blocks from that. Let's go take a look. Alright, here we are in the end, and you can hear Endermen dying. That's because this is my new mob spawn location for Endermen. I have a Draconic Evolution mob grinder set up here. I have actually a couple of these Ender chests with world interaction upgraded transfer nodes. And inside this we have some purple ground there, which you will probably recognize as cursed earth, that is specifically spawning Endermen. So that's how I'm getting a new and more prolific supply of ender pearls, because I found that I was running short on them. I've been running short on a number of things, and I've just been killing off one bottleneck at a time. And that's a lot of what the theme of this episode is going to be. Now up top, I did create a new platform specifically for spawning the Ender Dragon. I am using the bee method because it requires a lot less charged draconium and a lot less time and no farming of mob souls. I may, if I run out of eggs due to losing them off the edge of the platform or something, I may have to go and use the other method to get another egg, but for the most part I plan on using the bee method because it's just so much faster and more efficient. As you can see, I do have a few eggs here that I haven't quite cleaned up yet, but that will be on the agenda between episodes as I continue to farm dragons. Let's go back down and return to the base and see what else is up. Okay, the big shortfall that I am having right now has to do with this platform, and it is iridium reinforced plates, which I am currently making using matter fabrication from Industrial Craft 2. And this is a very slow process, and it requires obscene amounts of power to do anything, and of course the power is all EU. None of this is hooked up to my main energy network because this thing will drink as much power as you can throw at it, and I have to have power for other things. And I'm actually having power problems even with both big reactors on my main network. I can sort of get around it pretty easily, but I really would like to go ahead and get that first creative energy cell in place. I've been doing a number of things so far. One of the reasons I'm having trouble on the main base is because I ran out of scrap here. This is where I was making scrap before. There are, it looks like 4 times 8, 32 recyclers here, and they were powered by 2 nuclear reactors, which I have removed. I'm actually going to remove this whole assembly. It's not doing anything right now, so this whole assembly is going to be removed, and it will just make space on this platform for more reactors if I want. Really, the reactors are not what's providing the majority of the power here at this point. The power is being provided by, if I come up top, most of it is coming from these solar panels. These are the 2 quantum solar panels that I need in order to produce the first energy cell, and I've made 2 so far, and I've got these, which are the next step down from them, that are the inputs. I've got 6 of those, so I'm making good progress on the third one. But I decided, rather than leaving these things sitting around in a partially completed state and not actually doing anything, that I would go ahead and put them to work generating EU. And this little bit of power generation generates more power than all of those reactors downstairs. That said, the reactors still serve a purpose. They are making plutonium, which I still need for other reasons. So that is what's going on there. Now here, with my 2 big reactors, I'm running a little bit hotter than I was before to get a little more power out of them. I was running at like 700 C, now I'm up around 800. I withdrew a few fuel rods, just a smidge, and so I'm generating 14,000 RF per tick out of each of these reactors. They're both running full time now, and as you can see, the capacitor bank is not full. It will fill up. I just charged a bunch of draconium a minute ago, but I am having to charge draconium fairly often, and each time I do that it requires 100 million RF, so it's sort of setting me back on power. I have made a few more of these advanced solar panels, or a couple more anyway, and I'm probably going to continue to make them as I get electrotine, because otherwise I just don't have anything to use the electrotine for. I've got a lot of resources that are being generated that really will not go into these final achievements, and I might as well go ahead and burn them, increasing my power production and so on. What's really drinking up the power right now is this project that I showed you just a little bit in the last episode, and I finished, and I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on it because this area is extremely laggy with all of these machines. But let me go ahead and show you this. I have a wall of recyclers generating scrap. Now, the way that this can work is you can use fewer recyclers and a whole lot more energy, or you can use more recyclers and get the same amount of scrap for a lot less energy. I've sort of been making more recyclers, which is a little bit of a lag problem. I really probably should not have put this in my base. I should have put it in a chunk far away, because it could be done that way, and then it would not generate as much lag here. But each of these actually has a transformer upgrade and 8 overclocker upgrades in it to make it go a little faster. I'm probably going to continue to put more overclocker upgrades in them rather than making more machines. But that's what's going on with that. Because I'm scrapping cobblestone, I need to generate a lot of it. So I actually have all of these transfer nodes here with 64 world interaction upgrades. There are 5 of them. They are feeding storage drawers to hold up to double compressed cobblestone, and those are then going in and compressing to quadruple compressed for additional storage. And it looks like I have actually burned through all of my cobblestone, and cobblestone is a bottleneck with this setup. I'm going to have to set up another one of these cobble gens because I see I have 0 quadruple compressed cobblestone in this thing. So I could generate more scrap if I just had more cobblestone here. Anyway, all of this stuff is going over here, and each one of these columns of recyclers has its own supply of cobblestone, and that's because if you use Ender IO conduits to sort of round robin distribute so much material to all of these machines, unfortunately it just can't keep up with a single point. So I actually have 6 sources for cobblestone, and it looks like it's not actually bottlenecked yet because these are all maximum full on cobblestone here, but apparently it will run out at some point and I'm going to have to address it. The scrap returns, and because this location is so laggy, I'm going to have a little trouble getting boosted off the ground to fly. But the scrap returns into these iron chests on top, where it is sent along the passageway here and goes into a cyclic assembler which is making scrap boxes out of it, because I'm burning scrap boxes instead of scrap. Basically, 9 scrap combined to form a scrap box. It's sort of a block for scrap, and it has 9 times the scrap value for boosting the mass fabricator over on the other side. So that's just a way of moving it around and moving it into the machine that takes fewer resources or generates less bandwidth on your network. So the other thing that's going on over here is I have done a little rework on my XNILO resource generation. And I'm going to be using the same sort of resource regeneration in my Project Ozone world. So you're sort of getting a preview here of the sort of system I'm going to be setting up over there. Actually, as I say this, I've already recorded that episode. I just haven't published it yet. And you will see it soon if you're watching both series. In this particular scenario, I already had these sort of banks of auto-compressed hammers here, going from cobble to gravel to sand to dust. But I've expanded them all, and I've made sure that I have storage for all of these items up on top. Now this has its own cobble source over here, so I've actually got 2 of these massive cobble gens. And on this machine, it's going through and sieving the materials here. Now, one of the nice things about the way I've got this system arranged is that I can choose which materials to sieve just by setting the filters on the Ender IO conduit. So here I have 3 of them doing dust, 1 of them doing gravel, and 1 of them doing sand. All of this stuff goes into a bank of storage drawers for blocking. I am not using the machine that blocks them because the storage drawers actually have some other advantages. One is that a storage drawer makes a great filtering system. This bank of storage drawers specifically grabs out the ore pieces and lets everything else bypass it just by setting the priority on the insertion point. So if by setting this priority to 10 and this one that's sending it into the applied energistics network to 1 or to 0 in this case, just the default, it will prefer to insert the items that it gets into here. But it can only do that if there's space for them, and it's a locked bank of storage drawers, so it can only do that if it's ore. This automatically filters so that all of the glowstone and all the redstone and all that other stuff just goes straight into the AE system rather than additional processing here. Now, since this is a late game system, I really don't care about any additional processing of these ores at this point. And if it was still an early game system, I would want to maximize my throughput. And in the system that I set up in Project Ozone, you will sort of see that, where I would like to take and recrush the ores if it's not the dust, and I would like to take and double the result if I can. Here I'm not doing that. I just don't need the metals that much. I think copper is an interesting example. I think I've probably got over 30,000 blocks of copper. Why would I particularly need more, since you can't cache it in for EMC or anything like that? We don't have Project E. So all I'm doing with the ores is I am taking and pulling them out and throwing them into an induction furnace where it's all smelted. So everything is sort of smelted as it comes through. What I'm really running this for right now is mostly redstone. There are a few other things that are nice to get through it, like glowstone and stuff like that. I still need resources from the XNILO ores because that is the only source for them in this particular mod pack, but I don't care so much about the metals. Now, what that actually means is that most of this stuff over here is obsolete, and I am still running it, although I've basically told it to just sort of use up the materials it's got. It's going to stop processing materials. It's not getting a fresh influx of cobblestone. When it's done, I will take and tear this piece out. Basically, everything from this point right here, where it's doing pulverizing and crushing of sand, gravel, cobble, all that will be taken out all the way through here. Everything on the left. Now on the right here we have uranium processing, and that's going to stay. But everything on the left here will go away, as will these phytogenic insulators that are still generating redstone and diamonds at this point. There's no reason to have these machines doing that task because it can be done much more efficiently just over in the other setup over here. I could expand this system. That's one of the great things about this system over here, is that it's expandable. I can take and just keep going down the row here, filling in more hammers if I need to. And over here I can keep putting in more of the sieves if I need to. And if the metal production became so high that one induction furnace couldn't handle it, I could just stack another one on top of it here and deal with it that way. This is a very expandable system for ex-nihilo style ore processing. So all of this stuff that is phytogenic insulators and all the support for it also goes away. I expect that I will go ahead and keep the blast furnace. I will just continuously export iron to it rather than what it's doing right now, which is sort of opportunistically picking up iron that's floating on the network, because there will be no more iron floating on the network when all this is torn out. So that's one of the things I'm going to do to address some lag and some traffic. Another thing I'm going to do is over here where I've got all these bees going on, you'll notice that there are some very busy logistics pipes over here. And this is all just processing drones and combs and stuff. I'm probably going... all this was set up before I had easy access to Ender IO conduits. So I will probably switch all of this to Ender IO conduits and just have one place where it interfaces with either logistics pipes or maybe even just directly into the AE system, and I will get rid of all of that traffic through there. The farm up here is not generating nearly as much as it used to, but I probably don't need any more mushrooms or sugarcane for the duration, so I may take and temporarily shut that down until I find that there is a crop that I do need to grow on it. I think I've probably got at least in the neighborhood of 50 to 80,000 of each of those materials. I'd have to go look in the system to see for sure, but it's a ton. Alright, and the other thing that's a little interesting here is that I have expanded on my mana production for Botania a little bit. It's not actually, well, I guess it is generating more mana. I didn't set up any more flowers, but I went ahead and made it so that it's dumping charcoal down here full time, except that over here I set up 4 more mana pools. I left a spot in the middle in case I want to use one of these distributors, but I don't think I will because they're all just communicating with sparks. One of these sparks, and it's the one that my cursor is next to right now, has been made recessive so that it pushes mana out of its pool to any other spark, and so it is actually filling these pools over here that way. I did set up a redstone system here so that when this pool right here fills completely up, this long trail of redstone will be powered all the way, and it will turn off dropping charcoal out of the logistics pipe system there, which is pulling it out of AE. Drones will continue to fall, and truth is that's fine, because just because this pool fills up doesn't mean the system is completely full. There will still be room in this mana pool for a while, and the begonias do not generate mana at such a fast pace that I need it. The only thing I'm really doing with mana at this point is making Terra Steel for these things right here, draconic flux capacitors. Each one of the cells that I'm going to be making, the creative energy cells, requires 16 draconic flux capacitors, and each one of them requires a certain amount of terasteel. I don't remember how much it is exactly, but considering how slow that I'm making these things at this point, I'm not really hurting for mana. I did go ahead and set it up so that I can make more terasteel at once, but I haven't bothered to automate it. One thing I did automate was over in the bombcraft area over here. I went ahead and set up a crucible that's automated basically. So this is set up right now to make void metal ingots. Void metal is another one of those things that's used along with terasteel. The other thing that I've been using quite a bit of that I don't want to have to make manually because it really uses a lot of it is thaumium, and you can make thaumium with this setup too. I'm just coming over and manually making it a couple of stacks at a time whenever I need to do that. So that is what is going on over here, and I guess that pretty much summarizes what I've done between episodes. There's quite a bit of stuff. Mostly it's just chasing resource bottlenecks. One example I've already mentioned was the running out of ender pearls, but I also have run out of gas tiers, and I found that I had plenty of glowstone and phosphor for my draconium production, so I went ahead and changed one of the bees over there from demonic to ghastly. That works. I can do more of that if I'm still continuing to have a shortage of it, but in truth, the real bottleneck right now on this recipe is none of the stuff you see, and not the draconic flux capacitors either. It's the iridium plates that are required for making the quantum solar panels. So that is the main thing that I'm sort of driving at over the next however long it takes to get it done. And so there's just not a whole lot else going on. What I do want to do today is start tearing down some stuff, and I don't know, it might not be all that exciting to watch me tear down stuff. We'll see. I need my wrench. This one right here. This is the Industrial Craft 2 electric wrench, and it will allow me to losslessly recover the recyclers over here just like that. One thing that I'm going to have to do with it that's a little aggravating is I got a lap pack so that I could go ahead and not have to bring this thing over to the charger so much, but unfortunately it's been so long since I've played much with Industrial Craft 2 that I can't quite figure out how to get the lap pack to charge the wrench, because the one that I made says that item charging is disabled, and it's not clear how you enable it. There's no hint on it, and I went and looked at the wiki and I didn't see any information there. If you happen to know how to get this wrench to do that, it would be worth commenting on. I won't be able to use the information by then because I'm recording this well in advance, so I will have gotten this done long before, but some other viewer might find that information interesting. Please feel free to post it. I would love to see it. So once I get all this done, I got to tear all these things down. I'm also going to remove this cache here, which is empty and has been for a while now. That one I do know how to use the wrench on without any issues. And I no longer need this long conduit. Because it's not doing anything since all that scrap has been fed out of that network. And I don't need this here anymore. I've already removed the reactors that were powering these. This scrap production was powered by 2 reactors, and it was just not generating enough scrap, and since then I've increased the power on this system, and it would really not generate enough scrap now. It would be crazy out of scrap. you use scrap in the process of generating UU matter over in the mass fabricator. It boosts the productivity by a factor of 8. That's why you always want to have scrap handy when using that machine. Oh, I would like when doing this stuff up here to use my ring of magnetism. Unfortunately, that is not a viable option because of the way that Botania setup works. That's one of the more aggravating things. I should have located the Botania somewhere way far away from anything that I was going to do any sort of work on, where I would want to use a ring of magnetism because it wants to pick up everything. Some of this stuff that's in here will actually be useful. I'll probably set up some more recyclers at some point. Maybe not on that big wall because it's so laggy, but... So this might be a good time to ask, what would you guys like to see? I am going to be wrapping up this series as soon as I finish the quests. I don't expect that to be just really soon now. There's probably at least another 10 episodes in it, just because those last 3 achievements are so difficult. But once I do, I will probably be looking at something else to do a video on. I would love to hear your input as to what maybe that should be. I don't really commit to following through on it, but I would like to hear it and might. I'm sort of doing the Project Ozone because I played the other one and I liked it. I liked the way that it was sort of, oh, what's a good word for it? It's kind of, it's a little like this one in that you go so far and you have so much stuff that you've got to do that's just way over the top. The difference is that it's, well, it's more, what's the word that I want to use? It's a lot easier in the beginning, I guess, is maybe the best way of putting it. It feels OP from beginning to end, but it has to be because there's just so much stuff you've got to do in it. And I have to run back to this thing and recharge it after every single one of these machines. It's just not a good thing. Anyway, I can tell I'm just sort of rambling here, so I guess what I really should probably do is go ahead and wrap up the episode. I would like to go ahead and thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, then I would very much appreciate it if you did some sort of like or subscribe or something like that to maybe just sort of help boost my channel and my videos in the ratings so that more people will see them. That's sort of the goal here. I'm not actually monetizing. I don't do this to make money, so that's not really a reason why I'm going to encourage you to do that. But anyway, if you do want to help out, and go ahead and do any of those sorts of social things to encourage other people to watch, and I will see you next episode.